Evelyn Ross had always believed that memory was a living garden, something you tended every day. She kept her mind sharp by devouring crossword puzzles and holding brisk debates with her toaster when it burned her rye bread. Yet that Thursday afternoon, the bloom of her confidence wilted with a few careless words. She was in the hallway, sorting baby toys into color-coded baskets, when she heard her daughter's voice drifting from the kitchen. "She means well, Jared. She just wants to help." Jared replied, his tone low but firm, the type of voice that carried authority even when meant to be private. "Mia, your mom's forgetful. She left her keys in the freezer last week. I don't want her watching Leo alone. It's not safe." The words landed like dropped glass. Evelyn froze, a rubber duck dangling from her hand. Forgetful? Unsafe? She could almost hear her years of mothering, teaching, and surviving every scrape and crisis evaporate into the air like steam off a kettle. It wasn't just the remark. It was the calm finality of it. Judged. Declared obsolete. She quietly set down the toy box and walked to the door, her slippers whispering against the tile so no one would notice her leave. Outside on her small porch swing, Evelyn sat with a cup of chamomile tea that tasted faintly of indignation. The neighborhood wind chimes clinked a tune that felt irritatingly cheerful. "Forgetful," she muttered. "I may forget why I came into a room, but I never forget love." It was the kind of thing she might have said with a laugh once, but today it made her throat tighten. Her daughter's voice floated out the window now, gentler. "You could have phrased that better, Jared." Evelyn almost smiled. Mia had always been a peace broker, a sweet child who once coaxed fighting classmates to share crayons. But peace meant little when it felt like everyone had silently agreed she was a liability. She reached for her notebook, the one labeled Little Helps. In it, she had been writing mnemonic tricks, where she hid spare keys, the birthday of her niece's cat, grocery lists coded by aisle. Now, she jotted something new. Prove worth quietly. The act steadied her hands. Paper obeyed her better than people did. Evelyn's memory wasn't fading. It was just full. So full that sometimes things spilled over the edges. Yet she'd be damned if she'd let a single dropped key define her. Inside, Jared adjusted the home security settings. The new camera above the mantel blinked red. He was proud of the network he had set up. One eye on everything, just in case. He had no idea those same eyes would betray him. For now, Evelyn folded her lists, tucking them into her cardigan pocket like secret charms. In the soft light of evening, the porch creaked beneath her weight and years, but she sat straighter, a quiet ember lighting behind her ribs. It was the kind of fire that doesn't roar, yet never dies out, a grandmother's resolve warming itself for the storm ahead. In the days that followed, Evelyn moved through her house as though every floorboard were a secret she was guarding. She spoke less, smiled politely, and let her daughter's calls go to voicemail just to give them space. Silence, she realized, could be as eloquent as language, especially when you were trying not to cry. Her mornings became small rituals of order. She arranged vitamins into a rainbow of competence, alphabetized her thermometer batteries, because why not prove consistency, and labeled every storage drawer with handwritten tags. The house began to look like a museum of reassurance. Between these tasks, she made tea and sat in her bay-windowed chair, where sunlight wrapped her like quiet applause. There, she spoke softly into her tablet's camera, her memory video journal, she called it. "Entry 5, she said one morning, adjusting her bifocals. "Still not senile, still annoyed. Today I remembered to water the begonias, pay the phone bill, and misplace precisely nothing. Success." She stopped recording, a faint smile bending her cheeks upward. talking to her camera with a strange comfort, an audience that didn't patronize or interrupt. Across town, Mia mentioned that she and Jared would be away for a work function next weekend. Evelyn wanted desperately to offer help, but swallowed the impulse. She didn't want to sound like she was campaigning for trust. She wanted it to grow naturally, like ivy finding its own trellis. That evening, she rewatched old family videos, grainy clips of Leo's first giggle, Mia's baby teeth grin, her late husband teaching a toddler to skip stones. The sound of laughter filled her living room, soft and ghostly. It was memory as proof. Evelyn spoke aloud to the screen. "You see, Sam," she said, "they think a few lapses make me fragile. You used to say I was stubborn as oak." She chuckled under her breath. "Well, love, that oak's still upright, even if I need a few sticky notes to remember where I planted the shovel." The next morning, she spotted Jared picking up his mail with his Bluetooth headset on. He waved, she waved back, polite distance maintained. There was no malice in his face, just that subtle shade of pity Evelyn had come to dread, the look people reserve for the adorably unreliable. Inside, she stared at her reflection in the hallway mirror. "You still got it," she murmured, giving herself a little wink. Then, in rebellion, she poured coffee without measuring the grounds, just to feel human rather than a subject under inspection. Yet her silence was not empty. Beneath it, gears turned. She began noting every detail of Leo's routines: feeding times, favorite lullabies, nap duration. The data calmed her. It was not obsession, it was preparation. That night, she watched her latest video entry before bed. Her own face on the screen looked tired but determined. If they don't trust what I say, maybe they'll trust what they see. The trick is catching truth on camera before anyone can deny it. The idea hung in the air, tingling, unresolved, halfway between inspiration and mischief. Evelyn reached to switch off the light, but hesitated. Her notebook lay open on the desk. She wrote, "Listen before you speak. Observe before you act. Let silence gather strength." In that moment, she felt less like the forgotten grandmother Jared imagined, and more like an old fox sharpening its senses. The house sighed into darkness. Somewhere, a porch chime rang faintly, echoing the steady rhythm of patience, the kind of patience that waits politely and then surprises everyone. Evelyn woke before dawn, the way she had during her long years as a teacher. The habit of preparation never truly leaves a good educator. There's something reassuring about being awake before the world stirs, ready to shape your own lesson plan. And this time, the lesson would be for Jared, the self-appointed judge of her reliability. She filled her kettle, humming tunelessly as the windows paled with morning. "If he wants proof," she murmured, "then proof he shall have." The day began innocuously. Between her own errands, Evelyn stopped by Mia's to drop off lemon muffins. She'd noticed that the new tech-savvy security system blinked over every doorway like a nest of polite little spies. Jared was fond of reminding everyone how safe it kept their family. Evelyn herself was fond of details others overlooked. Later, when Mia mentioned she and Jared were heading to a weekend work retreat, she cautiously added, "We'll have our neighbor Tom check in on Leo this time, just to make it easier on everyone. All right, Mom?" Evelyn smiled so smoothly it almost fooled even her. "Of course, dear, you know best." Inwardly, she was plotting logistics with the crisp focus of a general strategizing small kindness as rebellion. That evening, Evelyn opened her laptop and studied a simple tutorial: how to access local camera playback. She wasn't hacking, just reading instructions Jared himself had emailed to the family months ago. Her brow furrowed in concentration, her spectacles gleaming in the glow. "I may forget where I put my reading glasses, but a password? That's another story." She didn't plan to spy or accuse. She planned to be seen, to let truth reveal itself naturally. If those cameras were such a source of protection, perhaps they could also protect her name. The next day, Evelyn offered to spend an afternoon helping tidy up before the couple left. "Let me label the freezer meals or sort Leo's toys. It'll make the handoff easier.
Mia brightened. Jared, distracted with luggage and conference folders, agreed absently. Sure, Mom, if you want. Evelyn's mind clicked into gear. She'd show not just consistency, but tenderness. The kind of competence that used to sustain classrooms of 30 restless children. She prepared Leo's food methodically, sang silly songs, and, when he slept, tidied the cluttered playroom with quiet efficiency. The camera above the mantel blinked its red eye, recording each gentle movement. Toward the evening, a small mishap occurred. The baby bottle tipped onto the floor, spilling milk across the rug. Evelyn moved instantly, no panic, no fumble, grabbing a towel, holding Leo securely, murmuring calm nonsense until the giggle returned. It was an unremarkable moment in real time, but the camera, impartial and unblinking, caught the grace of it. Evelyn, unaware of her cinematic debut, simply exhaled and smiled. There we go, sweetheart. Crisis diverted. Outside, the sun sank into honey gold twilight. She recorded a short tablet entry before leaving. Entry 8. Operation Accidentally Competent, Successful. No bottles harmed beyond redemption. Her laugh was quiet, half amusement, half relief. The true irony, Jared had forgotten to suspend the recording system before his trip. All that footage would upload automatically to Cloud Backup, where he'd later review clips for security purposes. Evelyn didn't need to boast or explain. She just needed life to continue naturally until truth surfaced. That night, tucked into her porch swing and den, Evelyn felt a lightness she hadn't known since Sam passed away. Not the giddy freedom of youth, but the peace that comes when you stop chasing validation and start trusting grace to do the convincing. The wind brushed her hair. She let it. She whispered, "Sometimes the best revenge is just doing the right thing on camera." A laugh escaped her. Soft, conspiratorial, thoroughly alive.
The Monday after Jared and Mia returned, Evelyn sensed something different in the air. It wasn't exactly tension, more like the hush before an overture, that tremulous pause when everyone waits for the curtain to rise. Her phone buzzed early with a text from Mia. "Mom, can you stop by later? Jared wants to talk." 3 harmless words that could either precede apologies or another round of concerns about your memory. Evelyn stirred honey into her tea with deliberate calm. "All right," she whispered to the steam. "Let's see what the truth remembers." When she arrived, the couple sat side by side at their kitchen island. Leo babbled merrily in his playpen, flinging toy blocks like celebratory confetti. Jared's laptop was open. His expression hovered between sheepish and bewildered. We saw some of the home cam footage while backing up last night," Mia began. "Oh," Evelyn offered her mildest raised eyebrow. "Catch any burglars?" Jared gave a short, nervous laugh. "Only you, Mom, and apparently you're more efficient than half the employees at my office." He turned the screen toward her. There in crisp HD was Evelyn's weekend. Her calm composure after the milk spill, the careful bottle prep, Leo's giggling approval. But it was the sound that told the fuller truth. Her soft, soothing tone juxtaposed against Jared's recorded comments from earlier that week, echoing from another room, offhand remarks about her forgetfulness. The microphone had caught those too. When the clip ended, silence lingered. A kind of courtroom hush wrapped in domestic comfort. Evelyn folded her hands, her eyes tracing the rim of her teacup. She finally said, "Technology's remarkable. Records everything, even what people don't expect." Mia exhaled, half smile, half tear. "Mom, I'm so sorry. We should have never doubted you." Jared shook his head, the tremor of humility pulling at his voice. "I was wrong. Completely. I think I judged because my own parents struggled, and I keep assuming loss of control, not just aging. I'm sorry." Evelyn looked at him, this man who loved her daughter and feared inevitable decline, and something softened. "You're forgiven, dear. But next time you think I'm forgetful, remember this. I'm the one who taught your wife fractions. You two wouldn't own that camera without me teaching anyone long division." They laughed, relief breaking the tension like sunlight through storm clouds.
Later, Evelyn spent an hour babysitting while Mia ran errands. Leo slept in her arms. The rhythmic rise and fall of his breath felt like proof that love can outlast pride. She hummed an old lullaby, lyrics long faded from memory, yet melody perfectly intact. The house itself seemed to breathe differently now. The cameras blinked quietly in the corners, not as spies, but as witnesses to restored balance. In this new world, Evelyn didn't have to announce her integrity. It had already spoken for her. When Jared returned, he handed Evelyn a mug of cocoa with a shy grin. For the record, he said, "I'd like to officially put you on permanent babysitting duty." Evelyn raised the mug in mock solemnity. Motion accepted. Outside, the night drifted in gently through the curtains. There was no grand fanfare, just the ordinary symphony of a baby's sigh, ticking clocks, and the peace of being seen clearly at last.
For a while, Evelyn believed the matter quietly settled. Lesson taught, dignity restored, equilibrium resumed. But families are ecosystems. One shift in the breeze shakes every branch. The video, meant only for household backup, took its own curious journey when Jared's automatic cloud share rippled across contacts. By Tuesday noon, her sister Rhonda sent a cheerful voice note. "Saw that clip of you with Leo, Evie? You've still got the magic touch." The clip? Evelyn blinked, half amused, half horrified. Jared's email habits must have copied the footage into the shared family folder, available to every cousin with a password and curiosity. Within 2 hours, she heard from her nephew, "Aunt Ev, you're trending in the group chat." And even her old neighbor, "You tell that son-in-law." It seemed the camera that once threatened to judge her had now turned her into an accidental folk hero. That evening, a family dinner gathered around her oak table, the same scarred table that had witnessed decades of birthdays and report card confessions. Evelyn arranged napkins and exhaled, knowing this meal promised more emotional fiber than any casserole could supply. Mia set the tone gently. "Before anyone says grace, we want to thank Mom for showing us what grace actually looks like." Around the table, murmurs of approval. A few sheepish chuckles. Jared raised his glass, cheeks flushed crimson, and for reminding us that cameras record words we don't mean right alongside the ones we do. Evelyn smiled, equal parts affection and mischief. "Well, Jared, every teacher knows tests go both ways. You studied honesty instead of arithmetic this time." The laughter eased whatever stiffness remained. Even Jared's parents, who'd quietly believed Evelyn ought to be careful with new technology, looked suitably chastened. She noticed the way they avoided meeting her eye, yet passed her the gravy with exaggerated politeness. It was apology through side dishes, and she accepted graciously. After dinner, Jared lingered while Mia tucked Leo into bed. The dining room lights softened to calm amber. "I wanted to say, seeing yourself on video, it's weird, right? Like meeting your own reflection at a truth serum party." Evelyn chuckled. "Indeed, I never thought I'd go viral for wiping up spilled milk. But it taught me something. You stayed calm when I was, well, unfair. I won't forget that." She reached across the cable, patting his hand. "Then I suppose I've done my job as a mother-in-law and in lesson." For a moment, silence reigned. Comfortable this time. The clock ticked. Dishes cooled on the counter. Jared looked down at his hand, then back up, smiling almost boyishly. "You know, Leo might not remember these years exactly, but he'll grow up watching the kind of patience I can only hope to learn." "Then we'll call that extra credit," Evelyn said. "Now go help your wife with bedtime. I have lists to update, items to remember, hearts successfully softened." When the door finally closed behind them, Evelyn stood in the quiet house and let a few tears slip, not of sorrow, but of sheer, relieved belonging. The video had traveled farther than she had planned, but perhaps that was destiny's mischievous editing. She added a single line to her notebook before turning in. "Sometimes the world needs to overhear your kindness." By the following weekend, Evelyn's life had become something she didn't quite recognize, a strange mixture of domestic routine and local legend. The footage of her calm crisis management had meandered far. Cousins, church friends, even her old faculty group at the community center were discussing Grandma Resilience, an affectionate nickname she only pretended to hate. When she arrived for Sunday service, Pastor Harlan greeted her with a grin that could light the hymn board. "Sister Evelyn, I watched you soothe that baby better than a whole choir of angels. Fine testimony in motion." Evelyn rolled her eyes with exasperated grace. "Well, Pastor, I did teach second grade for 30 years. Angels have nothing on toddlers armed with finger paint." Laughter followed her down the aisle. Her cheeks flushed pink, but her spine straightened proudly. The people who once pitied her fragility now clapped her shoulder with respect, not condescension. That afternoon, Jared and Mia hosted a barbecue in her honor, or possibly as an attempt to erase collective guilt using grilled meat. Folding chairs dotted the backyard, a toddler playpen framed the patio, and the famous video was projected briefly on a sheet strung between two maples. Evelyn winced at her own magnified face. Good heavens, I didn't know I had so many chin angles. Jared took the microphone, technically a karaoke mic, though he looked ready to atone on national television. "I started all this by being a fool," he said plainly. "I confused a minor memory lapse for decline, caution for incompetence, age for frailty. Watching that clip, I realized how much calm experience looks like magic only because youth is too noisy to notice." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the guests. Evelyn caught Mia's proud gaze and felt tears threaten again. Jared gestured toward her. "Evelyn doesn't need an apology. She already forgave me, but she deserves recognition for trust earned, not handed out like pity." She stepped forward, chuckling softly. "That's very flattering, Jared, but next time you want to honor me, skip the projector and give me a weekend spa voucher." Laughter burst like fireworks, diffusing the last traces of stiffness. Then Evelyn added, quieter, "If I forget things, let it be grudges. Let me remember love instead." The hush that followed wrapped around them like music. Even Leo, perched on Mia's hip, offered a well-timed gurgle of approval, the kind every parent interprets as cosmic applause. Later, as twilight coated the backyard in gold, Jared handed her a small envelope. Inside was a printed certificate titled Official Senior Caregiver of the Year, signed by every family member. Evelyn traced the signatures, the loops, the hearts over eyes, the toddler scribble Leo contributed, and let herself laugh until it spilled into tears. "Oh, for heaven's sakes," she sniffed. "You're all ridiculous, but you've made your point." Mia hugged her mother tight. "We just wanted everyone to see you the way we do now." "I think the camera already did that," Evelyn replied, her tone half tease, half benediction. When the crowd thinned and stars blinked awake, Evelyn sank into a deck chair beside the faintly glowing grill. In justice, she realized, there's power not just in being vindicated, but in watching others grow gentler through the process. Jared joined her quietly, handing her a fresh lemonade. "You know," he said, "if you want to babysit next weekend, the house and the cameras are all yours." She smirked. "Oh, I'll watch the baby, but those cameras, they'll be watching me delivering master classes." Their shared laughter rose into the mild summer night, the sound of reconciliation finishing its encore. A few weeks later, normalcy had settled back into Evelyn's home like sunlight through lace curtains, ordinary, patient, unhurried. Her calendar once again held the penciled notes of babysitting days, book club nights, and the occasional coffee date with Rhonda, who still teased her for accidentally starring in the Jordan County internet. Evelyn had stopped recording video journals. She didn't need them anymore. The quiet confidence she'd been trying to prove had finally rooted itself again, solid as her porch swing posts. Now, when she forgot a name or misplaced the garden shears, she simply winked at herself. Selective memory is an artist's privilege. She walked to Mia's house each morning, Leo in her carrier, the stroller rattling across the familiar sidewalk seams. Jared would wave from his laptop on the patio. Instead of directing her duties, he asked for advice: how to calm a teething baby, how to tight-roll diaper bags efficiently. He'd even started using sticky notes labeled Evelyn Method, a subtle tribute, but one she treasured. On this particular morning, Leo fell asleep early. Evelyn used the rare quiet to tidy the nursery. As she smoothed the blanket, her reflection in the window caught her attention. Silver hair bright in the half-light, eyes still steady. For decades, she'd taught children the value of evidence. It amused her that her own evidence of worth had come from something as modern as security footage. She murmured, "I guess justice can be streamed these days." Then softer, "But Grace, that still needs real people." Downstairs, her tablet pinged. A message from Jared. "New camera firmware update available. Thought you might like to install it?" Evelyn laughed out loud. The digital apology that kept on giving. She replied, "Consider it handled, dear. Teacher approved." That evening, she sat again on her porch swing, the air warm, the horizon lavender with dusk. Lightning bugs performed their wordless ballet, and the chimes she thought too cheerful months ago now played their simple tune of contentment. She took out her old notebook, the one labeled Little Helps, and flipped to the first page. Beneath "Prove Worth Quietly," she wrote one final line. "When love learns to listen, even memory rests easy." She closed the book gently, leaning back as Leo's giggles echoed faintly from the open window. Nothing spectacular, just an ordinary miracle. The peace that follows forgiveness, the laughter that proves time remembers what truly matters. If this story touched your heart, follow and subscribe to Kindred Echo, where every heartbreak finds its voice and every lesson blooms again.